Hello everyone, it is your boy Ricky King here, and if you're watching this after or before Thanksgiving, or in case this is Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving everyone. I really hope you're having a good time wherever you're at with your friends or family.
And anyway, there's also one more thing I gotta mention real quick. Sadly, CapCut decided to delete the video I was working on, so I lost literally half my progress. And sadly, I'm gonna have to redo it from scratch. And unfortunately, I'm only gonna be able to do Defense Team, to which you can fight me in the comment section on.
Anyway, without further ado, let's get started.
And starting things off, we have Gilgrunt, to which, as we can clearly see during the stat sheet, he is not infected. His assignment is Defense Team, to which he is the leader of. His health and sanity are at 90%, which is good, but his hunger is at 60, which could be a little bit concerning, and his thirst is at 70. What surprised me, though, is when he said the following: "War was better than this. Didn't prepare me, though." Which implies whatever the hell this infection is certainly giving these boys hell. But when we look at the Sprockets notes, we understand it a bit better. There were very few contenders for the leader of the defense team. A role needed to ensure the safety of all we fight and work for. Gilgrunt is the perfect person for that. Calm under pressure, experienced, and a great shot. He keeps things organized and ready because at the moment's notice, we need him and his team strength. But there's another reason he's there. With his time in his nation's military, he knows when sacrifices need to be made and when they can't be avoided. He can make the calls I and others can't when we need him to. I'm thankful he is the person and I am not. And it makes sense when you think about it. He has military experience, so he's the perfect candidate for a leader. And it also makes sense, since as we all know, Sprocket was made for science. Gilgrunt was made for war, but sadly, not everyone was made for war. As such as for our next candidate.
Unfortunately, Zap is one of the candidates that I am referring to. There are other Skylanders like him, but sadly, for now at least, Zap is going to be our main candidate, and it breaks my heart to see him like this. Thankfully, Zap is not infected. His assignment, of course, is to the defense team, with his health being at 70%, his hunger and thirst at 60%, but what concerns me is his sanity, which is at 30%, and once we read the Sprockets notes, we'll understand why. It says the following: the kind of dragon to always make others smile, Zap's change after the infection began is rather troubling. From what he told us, he tried to save his kingdom after he learned about what the infection could do, but it was too late, losing a leg in the process. I made a replacement for him, but he still seems to struggle with it. But honestly, I cannot tell if it was due to his physical or mental state, although with his insubordinate mumbling. Oh wait, that means incoherent mumbling. My apologies, I'm not very good at reading. It may be the latter. I'm just glad he has his friend, Buddy, with him. Last thing left of his kingdom. That's sad. And when you look at him, it just shows what he's been through. As we can see, he lost one of his legs, but he still keeps telling himself to just keep going, which is honestly really sad. But hey, at least he still had his little buddy with him. Overall, I feel bad for the Skylander. He wasn't made for war, and he certainly wasn't ready for this infection. But however, things cannot be said for Chill, who, surprisingly enough, was prepared for this. Especially considering her stat sheet, which shows she is not infected, and her assignment is defense team, with both her health and thirst at 90%, her hunger at 80%, but her sanity is at 75%, which is alarming considering she is always calm-minded in a fight. But when she said this line, they were strong, yet it immediately caught me off guard. And once we head to the Sprocket's notes, things will all be so clear. The Ice Kingdom was one of the strongest powers in Skylands, capable of holding off invasions from any power of Skylands. Even to us, they would be formidable. Yet, when we passed by their territory, at the request of Chill herself, we saw only a losing war. We quickly moved to assist, tried to help, evacuate as many people as possible. But the kingdom was completely overrun, the royal army destroyed by the infected. We managed to get a lot of people and soldiers out, Chill now leading them. But I can't help but see these reinforcements from ruins as another omen of this situation.
Okay, going off character real quick, her design is badass.
And with my personal bias out of the way, this shows one of the most concerning things I've ever seen. It shows that the infected are powerful enough to defeat the Chill Samurai, to which, if you know, are the most powerful clan of all the Skylands. And if you played the levels, you would know how much of a pain in the ass it was to even beat one. But it also shows that even the most powerful can fall. And honestly, it is a miracle that Chill herself was not infected. And I want you to remember Chill and her people, especially when we show the infected. But now, on to the next one.
Next up, mate, is Dino Rain. And my god, has my boy been through the ringer, mate. And you lads know the drill, we have to check his stat sheet. To which, it thankfully shows he's not infected. And his assignment is Defense Team, with his health at 80%, hunger at 60, sanity at 90, thirst at 30. Oh wait, it's 70, my bad mate. But I'm not gonna lie here, something that caught my eye from the moment I saw this was that he is missing a hand. And if we all take a look at the Sprocket's notes, it will explain why. An experienced boomerang, marksman, and survivalist, Dino Rang's skills are vital when we move to new bases, often surrounded by drastic and inhospitable terrain. Having cut off his own hand during the evacuation of Base 4 after it was infected in a scuffle with Slam Bam. Oh no, mate, Slam Bam's infected. No! Oh, sorry about that. Still, even with his hand replaced with a handmade obsidian shave, I think for the first time here he doesn't want to go home. Doesn't want to risk him or anyone else bringing the infected over there. Says a good bit about his thoughts on our chances. Honestly, I didn't even know what to say. The fact that he has a badass hand, or the fact he says one of the most badass liners of all time.
Only needed one.
To which, mate, I'm not gonna lie, it's one of the most badass things I could ever hear any Skylander hear. But this also shows one other thing too. It shows that Dino Rain actually believes they have a good chance of winning, or they might fail miserably. To which, I'm gonna be honest here, he kinda has a point. Since, well, considering what this virus has been doing to nearly every Skylander, it honestly shows that they actually might have a 50-50 odds against this whole entire pandemic / virus. But unfortunately, not everyone has the same mindset as him, especially when they lost so much.
And sadly, Flashwing is another one of those characters who sadly got hit hard by this infection. Not physically, but emotionally. Especially if we look at what she says. She says, "Oh bash," and that's something I want y'all to remember. But obviously we gotta go for her status, which is not infected, her assignment, Defense Team, and you're probably wondering, where's the rest of the status? Well, it's conveniently right next to these Sprocket's notes, to which I will read in a moment, but first we gotta go with the rest of her status, to which her health is at 90%, her sanity at 60, hunger at 70, and thirst at 75. And remember I said to keep in mind when she said, "Oh bash"? Well, in the Sprocket's notes, it actually explains what happened to him. Sprocket's notes. Ever since the evacuation of the rock dragons and loss of Bash to the infection, Fleshwing hasn't been herself. Very depressed, a parent to her own well-being, and lost. She still does what she can to help out, but never with the same desire to shine, bright that she always had. I wish her well, but don't know how to help, really. She and Bash were close, and he's gone now. Aw man, that sucks. Oh my god, so does that mean in this AU they were a thing? Oh no, this makes it extra sad. No. And she isn't the only one who lost someone. As we all remember, Trigger Snappy, Terabyte, and Zap lost someone too. However, Flashwing is definitely the first character in this AU who I think generally lost a lover in this.
Nothing's gonna prepare everyone for this next entry, starting off with Brawl, another character who, as we can search through the stats, is actually, funny enough, immune to the entire virus. And obviously, as we can see, his assignment is defense team. But most people are confused on why he's quiet. Well, that's actually pretty simple. Over here in the Sprocket's notes, to which I'll get in a moment, it explains everything. But first, obviously we gotta check our boy. His health is at 80%, sanity is at question mark, hunger NA, and thirst NA. I bet a lot of you are very confused on why that is. In the Sprocket notes, it says, everyone always saw Eyebrow as one person, forgetting how it was just an amazing symbiotic relationship. Okay. Full wall break here. Yeah, fun fact. Eyebrow has a symbiotic relationship similar to Venom. Anyway, as I was saying, an amazing symbiotic relationship between two beings. People don't see it that way anymore. Not after I got infected during the fall of Phase 3. Alfred talks to Brawl, seems to be able to somewhat understand him by body language, and feeling lonely. Still, Brawl isn't out of this fight or giving up, using his immunity, enormous size, and strength to serve as a literal wall to stop infected during evacuations and attacks. Assuming he hasn't beaten them. Uh-oh. Okay, two things. One, holy shit, I am happy Brawl is not destroyed because this team definitely needs some muscle. And Brawl is the perfect candidate for that. Also, now that I think about it, what happened to Mini Brawl? I'm serious, like I can't find anything on Mini Brawl, so I'm gonna headcanon that he's still alive somewhere out there. But anyway, on a serious note, number 2, remember that Sprocket repeated the same thing twice. That is something Sprocket would never do. It shows that this infection has really taken a toll on her mental state. If she's repeating things twice, then something is definitely up. And that's actually very concerning since Sprocket is the head scientist, which means if they lose her, it's all over. But overall, I am happy to see Brawl is still alive and still standing and still willing to fight to help protect others. But I can't really say that about everyone, especially with our next entry.
Rock, Oz is another character. They're within a defense team. Rock, y'all know the drill. We gotta check his stats. Rock, as we can see here, his status is uninfected. Assignment, defense team. Rock, obviously. With his health, 70%. Makes sense, because he's literally missing half his fucking skull. Hunger, NA, as well as thirst. Sanity, unknown. Which is very concerning. Especially if we read the Sprocket's notes. Sprocket's notes. Rarely have I ever felt judgment from an animal. But Ozzy seems more than capable of the unusual. Ever since we lost the Academy and Freight Rider, along with it, he's always been aggressive and territorial when I'm around. Luckily, his feelings don't translate to other people. He actually serves as a confidential source of material for the little ones. Especially Whisper Elf, Breeze, and Bop.
Well, that shows many things, but it shows that Ozzy here has some resentment against Sprocket, And it makes sense a bit, since, well, bro looked like he got beaten up by the infected, Also, rest in peace, Fright Rider, And that explains why he says, meh. But in all seriousness, I actually really feel bad for Ozzy here. He lost one of his best friends, and he holds Sprocket accountable for it. He does show resentment, which shows he isn't willing to help her. But he does care for others, such as the little Skylanders. Which makes sense. Especially Whisper Elf. Poor kid. I'm glad she has Ozzy to cheer her up. But the last two entries for today have actually intrigued me a bit. And I'll show you why in a moment.
Now, nearly ending this, we have Zook out of the last two Skylanders on the defense team so far. And I have to say this, Zook has seen better days than Sprocket, Flynn, Gilrunt, and Ozzy. Can't forget about Brawl combined. Like, Jesus, this virus has literally messed all of them up. But I definitely believe Zook had it the worst. And it makes sense why he says they just keep coming. But before I get to that, I want to point out his stat sheet. His status is obviously non-infected, his assignment, the defense team, but his other stats are something that I'm concerned about. His health and thirst are at 90%, which is good, hunger at 80, double good, but his sanity is at 50, which is bad, but the Sprocket's notes explain why. Sprocket's notes. Many species, or perhaps, were less able to fight the infection than others. One of the most notable were the... What the hell does that say? Okay. I'm sorry, this is just gonna be me slandering this word, so I apologize in advance, so don't come after me for this. The Bomba Zookers, with the exception of one, Zook, doesn't talk about them. Hasn't mentioned them since the infection began. I think it's because he knows how comprised they are, and how they were doomed from the beginning. Still, he is invaluable, second in command for the defense team. He knows when to stay rooted and when to move, perfect for the defense in depth and retreat tactics we have to use, combined with his flawed barriers. Okay, I'm not sure if it says flage or what it means, but anyway. And pure firepower. He can hold off entire groups of infected alone. But this, however, explains a lot of things. It explains why Zook's sanity has been low. Not only was he a second in command, but he also realized that his species is doomed, that there's nothing he can do to help fight back. And not only that, I feel like he also has a bit of resentment from his own clan after they realized that he wasn't capable of possibly getting infected, or that he might be the only last member of his entire troop or tribe. I'm not really sure of Zook's backstory, so I apologize for any Zook fans out there, but something tells me that this is only going to get way worse from here. Now, to finally end things off with our last entry.
But last but not least, it is definitely Shroom Boom, baby. He's actually the last Skylander here on this list, which thank God. Because, oh my god, has my throat been killing me this entire recording session. Anyway, you all know the drill. We gotta check Shroom Boom's stats. And as we can see here, his status is not infected, assignment defense team, health and thirst at 90%, hunger at 70, but his sanity, like most others, is low at 65%. To which is honestly the first time I could say that. But the question is, why? Well, as we take a look at the Sprocket's notes, it'll explain. Sprocket's notes. The defense team's job is to be patient and calm as they slow down the infected before evacuation. But even amongst them, there are the most hot-headed ones. Shroom Boom, most of all. He's always eager and courageous, but I fear the stress of the outbreak is getting to him. Zook keeps an eye on him as much as he can, but he tells me
Shroom is outright saying we should seek engagement with the infected. Likely because he's tired of having to evacuate his fungal family each time we get attacked, each time risking the loss. Hopefully Zook can keep him in check, because if not, we just wouldn't know how to break it to his friends. Now this explains why his sanity is low, but it also explains why he says we should take the fight to them. Because he's tired of having to run, he's tired of all the sacrifices they had to be making in order to protect everyone. He just wants to get it over with. To which nobody could actually blame him for, since they all suffered a lot, like everyone has, in one way, shape, or form. And it honestly says a lot about how this infection not only breaks people, not just physically, emotionally, but also mentally. It makes sense. Like, all of this makes sense. And you know what? Answer me this in the comment section below. Would you rather stick to the game plan to fight off the infected, or would you rather, let's see. Oh yeah. Or would you rather go take the fight to them, just so that way we can end this once and for all? Let me know down below in the comments.
And with that, we're ending the video right here. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed this video, because I have a really fun time making this.
Also, as the time we're recording this, holy shit! Oh, my throat has been kicking my ass lately, so...
Your king would greatly appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button. And leave a comment down below. Let me know how I did. I really love to hear you guys' opinions. But please keep them respectful and civil. Otherwise, we're gonna have to kick your ass. Nah, just kidding. We're just gonna have to ban you for a bit.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot something. The update will be on the 31st of December. And that's for good reason.
Because not only will I be busy, but also because I already have the entire script planted for what I'm about to tell you guys on the 31st. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Please make sure to like and subscribe, and also, Happy Thanksgiving, everyone!